Good morning, everyone. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm the U.S. Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today, I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution. The indictment alleges that between at least 2008 and the present, Combs abused, threatened, and coerced victims to fulfill his sexual desires, protect his reputation, and conceal his conduct. As alleged in the indictment, to carry out this conduct, Sean Combs led and participated in a racketeering conspiracy that used the business empire he controlled to carry out criminal activity, including sex trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and the obstruction of justice. Let me say a little bit more about the charges. The indictment alleges that Combs abused and exploited women and other people for years, and in a variety of ways. As alleged, Combs used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual performances with male commercial sex workers, some of whom he transported or caused to be transported over state lines. Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. The freak-offs sometimes lasted days at a time, involved multiple commercial sex workers, and often involved a variety of narcotics, such as ketamine, ecstasy, and GHB, which Combs distributed to the victims to keep them obedient and compliant. As alleged, when Combs didn't get his way, he was violent, and he subjected victims to physical, emotional, and verbal abuse so that they would participate in the freak-offs, and that Combs hit, kicked, threw objects at, and dragged victims, at times by their hair. On one occasion in March of 2016, that conduct was captured on video and later reported in the media. Specifically, Combs kicked, dragged, and threw a vase at a victim in a Los Angeles hotel when the victim was attempting to flee. As alleged, these assaults often resulted in injuries to the victims, which took days or weeks to heal. In addition to the violence, the indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims. And the indictment alleges that he maintained control over the victims in several ways, including by giving them drugs, by giving and threatening to take away financial support or housing, by promising them career opportunities, by monitoring their whereabouts, and even by dictating their physical appearance. Because of all of this, the indictment alleges that the victims did not believe they could refuse Combs without risking their security or facing more abuse. The indictment also alleges other acts of violence undertaken by Combs and others, including violence against witnesses to his abuse, kidnapping, and arson. The indictment alleges that on more than one occasion, Combs carried or brandished firearms to intimidate and threaten victims and witnesses. Now, Combs did not do this all on his own. As I mentioned, Combs has been charged with RICO conspiracy. He used his business and employees of that business and other close associates to get his way. Those individuals allegedly included high-ranking supervisors in the business, personal assistants, security staff, and household staff. The indictment alleges that those individuals facilitated the freak-offs. They booked the hotel rooms and stocked them with the supplies, including drugs, baby oil, personal lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. When the hotel rooms got damaged, they helped clean it up. They arranged for victims and commercial sex workers to travel for the freak-offs, and they delivered large quantities of cash to Combs to pay for the commercial sex workers. The indictment also alleges that they helped Combs cover up his crimes. During the March 2016 incident at the LA hotel that I mentioned earlier, a member of the hotel security staff intervened, and Combs attempted to bribe the staff member with a stack of cash to make sure that what happened was kept quiet. And as the indictment alleges, in late 2023, after public allegations were made about Combs' crimes, he and others pressured witnesses and victims to stay silent, including by making phone calls to witnesses and victims and giving them a false narrative of what they had experienced. And as alleged, Combs used others to help conceal his abuse by monitoring and preventing victims from leaving a location in order to hide their injuries, or by locating and contacting a victim who had attempted to flee. As part of this investigation, in March of this year, special agents from HSI executed search warrants at Combs' residences in Miami and Los Angeles. They also executed a warrant for Combs' electronic devices. During those searches, agents seized evidence of the crimes charged in this indictment. They seized firearms and ammunition, including 3 defaced AR-15s and a large capacity drum magazine. They also seized evidence of the freak-offs, electronic devices that contain images and videos of the freak-offs with multiple victims. And they seized cases of the kinds of personal lubricant and baby oil that Combs' staff allegedly used to stock hotel rooms for the freak-offs, more than 1,000 bottles altogether. Here are some of the items that we recovered during the searches. As you can see here, this is a drum magazine, large capacity, and it contains, I believe, 59 rounds. I mentioned as well we recovered 3 AR-15s. This is a close-up shot of one of the AR-15s, and you can see right here the serial number has been thoroughly defaced. Another picture of more ammunition and parts of 2 AR-15s right there. Now, I want to be clear about 2 things. First, this office is determined to investigate and prosecute anyone who engages in sex trafficking, no matter how powerful or wealthy or famous you may be. No one should doubt our commitment on that. A year ago, Sean Combs stood in Times Square and was handed a key to New York City. Today, he's been indicted and will face justice in the Southern District of New York. Second, we are not done. This investigation is ongoing, and I encourage anyone with information about this case to come forward and to do it quickly. Anyone with information can call 1-877-4-HSI-TIP. I want to express my deep appreciation for the victims and witnesses who have used their voices and helped bring this criminal conduct to light. We would not be here without them. I also want to thank the dedicated case agents on the HSI Trafficking in Person Squad in New York. They have been with us since day one and have worked tirelessly on this investigation. They will continue to be invaluable partners to us. I also want to thank the incredible agents and analysts from SCNY who have also provided tremendous assistance on this case. I'm deeply grateful for their continued work. And finally, I want to thank the outstanding career prosecutors from SCNY who are handling this case. Meredith Foster, Emily Johnson, Chrissy Slavic, Madison Smythe's division. We created the Civil Rights Unit when I became U.S. cases. I'll now take some questions.
Eric Katursky, ABC.
Thanks, Nick. Damian, thanks. The indictment describes aggressive, open, violent, hedonistic abuse that you say was recurrent and widely known. Why did it take law enforcement so long to intervene? How many women were victimized by Sean Combs, and how many others were involved?
Look, our investigation is ongoing. We are committed to bringing justice to everyone who's been victimized by the defendant. I can't tell you why it took so long. I think the better focus is on the fact that we are here today, and we are committed to making sure that justice is done.
JR, was all them women, all them white women that was to his left, is that part of his yeah, it was law? Did I catch that right?
That's his team. And I bet he don't got no wife either.
Scroll to the end. Look, it's a wide shot of all of them.
Yep.
That is the civil rights team.
Yep. And look at one pregnant. Is she even really pregnant? It look almost fake.
Nah, she's pregnant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in him. I'm not saying nothing.
They all like the same thing.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm just observing things. That's all. Anyways, we could continue the discussion.
Hey, you heard Diddy came. You heard Diddy came out and said we need a third party, presidential party because the Democrats ain't gonna do nothing for black people.
No, I didn't know he said that.
Yeah,
I know Tyrese said that. Tyrese said that, and then the next thing I know, he got arrested.
Bear Adams said he wasn't gonna fund the illegals no more. and then that was a directive from the
Now that was an optic for your ass. To all them women, all them particularly bright women on the left of him as the civil rights. That's the civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
They was the largest group of affirmative action proponent. Like they received that group that they received affirmative action the most out of anybody in the world.
Imagine that, and imagine who it was intended for and who it actually worked out for, and now who they prosecuting and the person that they prosecute. But anyways, what's up, JR? What's the question for tonight, man?
Yeah, so we just going ahead and just discussing everything, man. So Kenny, I think he mentioned earlier about him being picked up. So he was picked up. There were a lot of videos and pictures of him being out that day, and then they went and picked him up. They thought that he was a flight risk. So they went ahead and brought him in a little bit earlier, which they typically do. I got a friend, he has some federal stuff going on, and they picked him up a month early. I haven't still got the full story as to why they picked him up, but when they have some intuition, they go ahead and just act on it, just bring them in, just so they don't risk anything happening. But this is the jail that he's in, according to TMZ right here. That's the jail he's in. Diddy's feeling a severe reversal of fortune right now, locked up in federal jail that's held plenty of famous people, but is also about as far from the lap of luxury as the embattled mogul's been in the least 30 years. So this is the way it looked, man. He is held without bail. So today that was also dropped too. He did put together something for him to be able to get out. I think he used his house for collateral. He even offered up some money. His kids' passports were submitted. A lot of things going on, and for him to get a taste of freedom. Typically, when people get behind bars, it's like a reality check. I don't know if he thought that he was invisible or not, but I don't think anybody can imagine being behind those bars once you're there. So I don't blame him from trying to do anything he can to get out, but most folks would probably say he should have thought about that before indulging in such activities. I just wanted to bring that up, how the prison looked as well. And let's go ahead and discuss. Let me just give some reactions about what was said from the U.S. Attorney in New York, and then we'll go ahead and play some more videos for additional context. Who would like to go first? Be scared.
I guess
man.
I will. Hey, man, look, Diddy is cooked. His goose is cooked. I mean, he had a good run, but he was just doing too much. I mean, but I said it earlier to some of my partners, man. I'm like, look, who you ever see get to the top without rolling over somebody? You know what I mean? Like, dude, you did too much. With great power comes great responsibility, and when you got the world at your fingertips, you sometimes may think that you can get away with everything and anything, and it came back to bite him in the ass. You know what I mean? I've always heard that Diddy was really like that, like not only on this freaky stuff, but like Diddy would send them guys after you. And this is, before Pac, this is just in the music business, it was always known. Like it wasn't really a game, you know what I mean? Yeah, people made fun of the shiny suits and his dancing and all that, but they say Diddy used to get down like a gangster, and this is all those chickens coming home to roost. He had a good run though.
Absolutely. What are your thoughts about it, Brother Hink?
Yeah, man, it's all bad from Diddy, I see. Yeah, it's all bad. Man, look, Jesus Christ. Did he said 1,000 bottles of Johnson & Johnson baby oil?
Yep.
God damn. I don't know what's going to hurt him more, the gun charges or the sex trafficking. I don't know what's going to be worse for him, man.
Hink, let me ask you a question, bro. Do you think if you remove violence, he still would get a tax for, like he still be going to jail for this? Because I think most major artists, especially labels, engage in a lot of sex and a lot of drugs. I think that's like industry standard.
Yeah, that part I'm not surprised about. that part at all, I'm not surprised about at all. What I'm hung up on, man, is these gun charges he's about to take, man. Dog, you got a small, like you ready for a small war. Why, dog? That's what you hire your goons for. Let them hold all the pistols. Now,
But
unless they found it at one of the goons' house and that was under his name, then okay, I see. But dog, why do you need that much army brigade, especially what you was having? That's a whole lot for you to carry yourself. So
Hey, but
that's what part I'm kind of hung up on with that situation. I'm not surprised by the sex trafficking because, like you said, Marcus, yeah, they all into that shit. You know, saying he's taking it, he's giving it. It is what it is. But these guns, I think that's what's really putting them over, man.
hey,
You
but
think that's
did he get caught with the firearms, or were they just at the hotel? Because I don't
I think they
know
was
if
at
they
his
said that
house.
exactly. It
I
was
yeah,
at
think
his
they
but he's
said
house.
not
he
a
was
felon.
at his
He
house.
can own guns. He's not a felon,
You can have guns
and
at
he
your
was
house.
in Florida.
Wait,
Yeah, you
say it
got
again.
No, I
guns.
think
I
they
ain't
got,
hear.
they got it at his house. They got it at his house. That's what I thought they said. So I don't know which
Yeah,
home that he
was the house
has
in
it.
Florida? Was the house
Yeah,
in
the
Florida?
house is in Florida, and he not
So,
a felon.
so the
yeah,
funny thing about them
he
type
gonna
of
beat
AR,
that. They gonna throw out that gun charge. That's gonna be the least of their concerns. Like they may tack something on with it, but I don't think that they're really gonna base it on. I don't think that that's gonna play a huge role. They may say, well, he was attempting to protect whatever or whatever the case may be. If he takes it to trial, I'm pretty sure he'll take it to trial if he don't cop out. Um, I don't think that they're really going to focus much of the case around that. They're going to focus it around the trafficking and the all the sex stuff and the whatever violence that they may have been saying. But I think that they're going to more so focus it on that than the firearms.
so my thing
Well,
about a lot of people
my
make
thing is this though, Vince. I mean, can they charge down there anybody who flies a woman in for sex trafficking then?
Yep,
So what the hell? I mean, we all in trouble. We
slippery
all in
slope,
trouble.
baby.
No, well, that's not what trafficking is. Not just flying a woman in. I mean, once there's money involved, right? So if you are bringing them in with money, that's different, right? And it can't be for yourself. For yourself would just be considered prostitution. You bringing these women in to sleep with other people is now what makes it trafficking. He had the male sex workers who he was trafficking, and then now he's bringing these women in, and from what they're alleging, none of them, at least on the female side, were cooperative. They didn't want it. And then he'd use violence behind it. And then, he used drugs behind it. And the RICO charge is the problem because they're saying it's an organized ring and he used it under the guise of his business. That's where he's going to get the real trouble. That RICO charge is where it's at. That's the problem because it's this organized and they're saying there's multiple players involved and you are the ringleader. That's what's going to bring him all that time. Human trafficking on its own is a minimal of a 10-year sentence on one count. He's got a lot of accusers. That's a big issue. And then Rico add on top of it. It's bad. It's real bad. He I don't think he's going to see the light of day, man. I don't know what he could do to get out of this one. He would be one of the few people who could possibly get away with it. But the optics right now, they're going to make an example of this dude. So it's over for him. If this was quiet and he weren't the celebrity he was, he could have got off like Epstein was for so long because he didn't have he was out there, but nothing like Diddy. He's not getting away with this. The feds, you already know, they're in the high 90% of cases once they bring them to you. That's why they waited so long. They wanted everything. They got video evidences. It's
so
irrefutable. So he's in trouble.
I
So
think
remember
that
this: human trafficking and sex trafficking is two sides of the same coin. For those that don't know, so a lot of people hear it, and for those that's watching the show, you guys hear the word sex trafficking, you hear the word human trafficking. Those are two distinct charges. So human trafficking is involved with labor. So remember, it's all about selling humans to get work out of them. That's typically where somebody's brought over to work in the fields or work in the houses at doing peanut, doing menial jobs for peanuts. So human trafficking is typically selling people to get the people that they sold to do work. The sex trafficking side, Hink, to what you're saying is, well, what if I fly a girl out and I know I want to smash? So there's a commercial element to sex trafficking, and it has to be an exchange of money. That's why when you heard the prosecutor mention the bags and bags of cash that people were brought to Diddy. So that's why he mentioned that specifically. So if it's just about bringing a whole bunch of people over to fly in and have a bunch of free sex, that's not really sex trafficking. But if you're getting paid, I'm sure you guys have heard of swinger parties. If you're flying women in to join a swinger party and the guys to go to the swinger party has to pay a cover charge, that's sex trafficking, because there's a commercial element. There's money exchanged for the enjoyment of whoever, the women or the men, to enjoy the sex by the people who were brought in. So I just want to make sure everybody understands it's not just a matter of just having sex and flying people interstate, over state lines or over country lines or internationally, but there has to be some kind of exchange of monetary value for the sex that's happening.
Yeah. But he kept saying commercial sex workers too.
So this my thing with it, right? So one, if you look at the guns, I don't know if people familiar, when they separate them guns, they charge the lower as the gun. It's just the lower half, not the top part.
Right.
So it's not really a lot of guns. In Florida, especially, the average person kind of got that setup, a 60 round drum and 3 ARs. You got a 223, probably they got the new ones with the 7.6 by 39, 7.62 by 39, and probably one other. He probably fuck around had a 9mm AR-10. I mean an AR-9 or whatever with them. So that's not really that much. The thing is about them to face serial numbers, and I think he could beat that using the using the ghost gun thing and just say that was an error in the way they made them, because ARs usually can be made with the ghost guns. It's a lot of ghost guns floating around, so it could have been an error when he was drilling out the 80% that nicked them. I don't know. I would try and argue that if I was them. But the other thing that's messing me up is when they say commercial sex act, it's to my understanding Diddy was paying the people and he wasn't getting paid. I would think for him to go from prostitution versus solicitation, he would have to be the one getting paid versus paying the other people. They was bringing money to him to give to the other people, not them bringing money to pay for the sex with the girls, because he was paying the men. If you work in the studio and don't get paid for studio hour, you get into a gray area where is that overtime? Is he forcing them to do unpaid labor? Like it's a lot of I think anybody in the music industry can be brought up on this charge, low key. The way that it's kind of positioned, because I don't think people was paying Diddy to have sex with these girls. The people that the music execs and stuff, I really just can't imagine them giving Diddy $5,000 to have sex with these girls. I want to know if they're gonna try and make a case where influence is what he got paid in. I think that's gonna be a little harder to prove. You know what I'm saying? Because I just don't see Diddy pimping like, yeah, give me $5K and you can go in the room and hit her. He probably set the plays up and brought in execs and had them come like, hey, I'm having a you did. And then they, you know what I'm saying? They came,
off. The term is freak off.
Yeah, I'm having a freak off. And then they came to the freak off, got it in and left, and Diddy paid the people. So it's more so solicitation on his. I don't know. I think it's holes in this case.
Remember, Marcus, a couple years ago, they set new precedent on the serial thing with guns. About, I think it was either 21 or 22, 2021 or 2022. A federal judge ruled it unconstitutional to ban guns with removed serial numbers. So the gun thing is going to fly away. That just happened just recently. If you guys remember that case, it was kind of big because people was like, oh, shit, I could get rid of the serial numbers on my gun. Some states still have it, but this is a federal charge. So it's odd to see. I think what they're trying to do is throw everything on the wall at Diddy, whether it's going to stick or not. And they'll see what sticks, because the gun thing is going to just fall right the hell off, even with the serial numbers.
I know plenty of guys from the hood in Chicago that got caught with pipes with the serial number scratched off. They got caught with pipes and dope, and they'll throw out the guns and charge them with the dope or whatever else it was that they, you know what I'm saying, that they had. So I
But yes,
personally,
no, yes. The issue with that though is if the state pick it up versus if the feds pick it up. The feds gonna charge you differently with the gun. They're gonna enhance with the guns versus how the state.
But that's Florida. They ain't picking up no gun charge like that. I don't think so.
But it's a federal case, ain't it? Because they
Yeah,
charge you in
exactly.
New York
it's a federal
stuff that
case,
happened in
but
Florida.
is he a felon though? You know what I'm saying? If he's a
I don't-
felon and he got
No,
caught
you said he
with it,
wasn't, right?
then that's a different story. But if he's not a felon and he has all of these bigger charges, they're going to focus on that. We know we can slam them on this. This is what we're going to focus on. So what about these guns? We got a couple guns off the street, you know what I'm saying, type of deal. I think that they're really going to focus on the whole RICO, the trafficking aspect of it, and that's how they're going to try. That's how they're going to nail them.
It's not looking good for homeboy, man. I think it's over.
I can't hear you, Law. Trev, so you think it's over?
All that oil, he ain't gonna be able to slip up out of this one, bro.
I think the thing that's gonna cook them is drugs.
We can't hear you, Marcus. What's that? Say it again.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Yeah, I think the thing that's gonna cook them is the drugs, and if we being honest, that'll cook a lot of people from that industry, because they saying that the women it quantifies as them not being able to make sober choices because he's offering them drugs. That's the part that's really going. So you can classify then all the sexual acts off the offer drugs as grape. So you fall into a crazy, you know what I'm saying? Like you get high with somebody and then have sex with them. It's great. Now you can lump that together with all them. Yeah, then they got 3 guns. Yeah, this shit ain't looking good for him.
And the serial numbers are scratched off of them, off the ARs. 3 of them.
They should have just ghost gunned it. At least he could have. I think his lawyer could fight that shit though. If he could prove that the ARs was ghost guns and not like defaced area, because it's 10 years for defaced. What's supposed to be 10 years for a defaced gun, but ghost guns don't come with one, and a lot of ARs be ghost guns. So possibly he can get that one off. I think that like having him on camera, giving people drugs, and then having sex with them or enticing them into a freak off. Yeah, that shit ugly for him.
Yeah, the guns is gonna be the least of his concern. They'll throw that off. They'll throw that out.
That trafficking though is what's gonna get him.
Yeah, he got much bigger charges to worry about.
All right.
I'm thinking that add an enhancement to it, to a violence plea. Like when they gonna try and trump it up and make it seem like he was, not trump it up because he was being violent according to the videos, but it had an extra thing. I think even one of the ladies said she got shot in the face. It's all type of stuff coming out with Diddy now.
Well, the fresh and fit guy, you know, one of them was a Fed. I think Myron. I was watching him last night and he was detailing it because he has an inside, you know, he can call somebody inside when he wants like more information. From pretty much what he's given us, Diddy's goose is cooked. And it's just formalities, even down to you see they had a sit-down agreement, his lawyers and the feds, and they went and grabbed them before time. Now, what would make them do that?
I think they wanted to roll on somebody, and I think he's gonna do it. I think he's gonna bring a couple cats down with him.
Who big enough to justify him telling on them?
Oh, it's definitely
We don't know.
Behind the scenes, bro.
Yo, Marcus, who didn't he have at his parties? If you could get the man from the Potter's house up in there doing his little twerk dance, knowing he shouldn't be nowhere around Diddy, who else he had up in there? And you know what I mean by Potter's house. You could say his name. The Reverend.
TD Jakes.
Mm-hmm. What you doing up in there?
Does anybody know the full What's the indictment? I know they were supposed to read it today. I don't even know the full indictment.
Okay, well, we're
Is that
gonna
be part of the show?
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get into it, man. I just wanted to get some general thoughts about it. I do have the sealed indictment